To check the brake servo or brake booster, vacuum pump, some of these 2001 and up Volvo have one, and that pump may go bad. I'll explain you why later on. So just start with the car. Could just be off, the engine off. Turn the key to position 2. So just turn on the electrics. That's position 1 and position 2. And simply depress the brakes. You should hear a whirling sound. The pump is inside the engine bay, so may just pay attention to that noise. It's not very loud inside the car, or just ask a helper to depress the brakes and listen at the engine bay by yourself. So let's just hear. I think you should hear it in my car. Did you hear like that, something like that? Let's see again. So that's the brake booster vacuum pump. Some of these cars had it. Just show you what it is. It's a bit windy outside. I'll try to speak louder. Again, not all P2 engines had it. I'm not sure the diesel had one, but if you have that pump, you have this switch. There are a couple of hoses that go. This one goes to the brake booster or servo unit right there. This switch also goes back. Check if it's broken, especially the cap here, just the cracks, and you need to replace it. And then the other hose of the switch goes to the pump. And as far as I can film with this cell phone, that's the pump right there. This hose goes to the pump. The pump sits on 2 rubber brackets. You don't need to basically just unscrew a little bit those small nuts on the 2 supporting bolts. You don't need to remove completely the nuts because you lose those rubber dampers here. Just undo those, slightly undo those nuts and slide the pump on the side. There's a connector here with 2 green clips. You just need to depress them. It's not exactly easy to see them, but the main issue with this is that this ATE servo brake buster here has a seal that fails, and when that seal fails, I'll show you where's the seal right away. When that seal fails, it will cause this pump to run, especially after you shut off the engine, or sometimes even with the engine running in a cold car. If you depress the brakes, you can hear it. That means that seal has failed. This guy, by the way, when that seal fails, it runs the pump and it overruns it, and at some point the pump will just burn out. But you need to have that pump to create the enough vacuum for the brake buster. Again, not all engines had it. This ATE brake buster booster, not buster, was used on several European cars. I think even Mercedes, and Mercedes also have the same issue we have here. Perhaps not very easy to see, but the brake pedal, when it goes into the brake booster, whatever, we have kind of accordion cover, and behind that accordion there's a seal. That seal goes bad. I'll link at the end of this video a few videos where I show how to replace it. What happens, this is a left-hand driving car. You can replace the brake booster altogether, but on the right side, handling car such as UK, Australia, it's almost impossible to replace that brake booster or servo unit. You basically need to drop the engine a little bit, and it's a big job. So this summer actually mine also is getting bad again because I had a second-hand unit. I'll try to replace that seal without removing the brake booster. So maybe stay tuned. I will link into this video if I manage to do so. So this is it, guys. It's good to check your pump, see if usually that seal goes bad after 10-12 years. and starts leaking, is not catastrophic. It's just that it will burn that pump and you will lose a little bit of vacuum, a little bit of brake power. Again, don't forget to check it out. And let me just see if mine will just show some of the symptoms. So again, when you depress it with the engine off but the ignition on, that's just to check if the pump still works. You can hear it perhaps. But if the seal goes bad, one of the other things to check that will cause basically is when you fire up the engine, cold engine, especially in winter time. But I do remember there's another thing in summertime when it's get hot in there. If you depress the brake pedal, you will hear like a hissing, or make like that's also the seal going bad. Speaking of this brake booster or brake servo vacuum switch, if you have it, this is a non-turbo engine. If you need to replace it, just a little bit careful the way it sits in there, which hose goes where. There are 3 hoses and 1 electrical connector to it. This hose goes to the intake. Again, this one goes to the servo or the brake booster itself, and the bottom one goes to the pump. Notice the way it sits. So this is front of the car. The connector goes towards the front, and when you look at it, that's sometimes may be a little bit tricky. It says on one side it's written motor. That's not for the hose that goes to the motor. This side goes to the servo or the brake booster. So where you see motor, that's the hose that goes to the brake booster or the servo. So just careful, because if you switch it, if you place it the other way around, the pump will start running all time, so you don't want that. To remove these hoses, usually just try to twist them a little bit. They are a little bit stuck in there, but they just pull out from there. When you grab this thing, don't grab it by the top of it, because it will break when you remove the hoses. Just grab it whole body like that with one hand and then pull on the hose, but again twist the hose and then pull. They just undo just simply like that, but they are a little bit stuck in there again. This, you notice, this is the newer model. Yes, it has a kind of a tape around. That's how it sells actually. It sells from FCP Europe. Maybe I'll put a link in the video comments. About $50. Thanks for watching.